As you know, modal verbs in English can be used to convey several different meanings. Ability, probability, possibility, advice, permission and request, obligation and necessity. Most meanings can be expressed by more than one modal verb, and most modal verbs can express more than one of these meanings, so it is sometimes difficult to know which one to use. Confused? Well, it's logical, but don't worry. We're going step by step so you can get it. Let's start by getting rid of all these mess. Okay. First, we're having a look at some verbs that help us give advice to others or ask for it. The most common one is should. This verb can be used to ask for advice. Should I take up a new hobby? Or to give advice to someone. Oh yes, I think you should try knitting. It's so relaxing. You can also use it in the negative if you want to advise someone not to do something. Yes, but you shouldn't start surfing. It's too dangerous, I think. A possible alternative is ought to. You ought to try knitting. The meaning is the same as in should, but note that the construction is different. Now we need to add to before the infinitive. It is not usually seen in the negative or interrogative forms, but it's possible. Another expression to give advice is had better. You'd better start a hobby, whichever it is. It is usually contracted, and it is not only an advice but also a warning, so it's a bit stronger than should or ought to. Another verb we may use is could. You could try yoga too. In this case, we're offering a possibility, that is, you could try this or that other thing. Choose one of the possible alternatives. If we want to tell someone that something is compulsory, we can use must or have to in the affirmative. You must be quiet in class, or you have to be quiet in class. There is not always a difference between both. However, must usually implies it's the speaker who sets the rule, while have to refers to the general obligation to do things. That is, in the first example, it could be the teacher speaking, while the second may be either a teacher or a student talking to someone else. A mild obligation can be similar to advised, so should can be used in these cases. You should try harder if you want to get it. That is, it is not obligatory because there is a rule for this, but because it's the most logical, acceptable, or convenient thing to do. When something is not compulsory, we use the verb have to in the negative. You don't have to get up early on Sundays. Note that in this case, must is not possible. We're not saying that it's forbidden, but that it is not compulsory. There is. You're free to get up early if you like, but there is no need and no obligation for it. It's up to you. In the same way, we don't have to wear a uniform in this school. That is, there is no rule telling us to wear it. We choose the clothes to wear. If something is forbidden, the most common alternative is mustn't. You mustn't arrive late to school. That is, it is not possible to arrive late because the rules don't allow it. If you arrive late, you will be punished. Can't may also be used if we're talking about general rules, not setting our own authority. You can't drive a car if you're not over 18. That is, the law says you can't do it, not me. While in the first example, it may be the teacher talking to a student. Necessity is a meaning similar to obligation sometimes. I mean, you need to stop smoking. It's not just a statement about a person's needs, but a piece of advice. We need to breathe to live. It's a statement about something unavoidable. Necessity and obligation are the same in this case. This means necessity can also be expressed with have to or must. We have to breathe to live. Absence of necessity can also be expressed with needn't or don't need to. You needn't come early today, or you don't need to come early today. Note the different use of the infinitive depending on how you decide to form the negative. When it is used as an ordinary verb, we need the to infinitive. You don't need to come early today. Now, with all this information, you can already start writing your guide. Remember, you will need to give advice. You should make sure the pet you choose is the most suitable one for you. And also talk about laws and regulations. You have to leash your dog when walking on the street. And specify what's necessary to have, buy, do, etc. You need to be aware of the importance of properly taking care of your pet. Be careful about the words you use so that you convey exactly what you want to.